Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Teardown Sessions. I am your host, Helen Leigh, and today I've got Carrie from Alpenglow Industries joining me. We're going to be talking all about some of Carrie's awesome electronics, and then we're also going to be talking about how to run hardware events. Obviously, I've got plenty of events. I've done plenty of events in the hardware space, and Carrie's done some really awesome things too. So we're going to talk about things we've learned and best practices, and just some of the basics of how to actually go about running a hardware event and starting an open source hardware community where you live. Okay, but before I bring Carrie on to talk about all of her awesome work, let me tell you what we've got going on at Crowd Supply as usual. All right, we've got a bunch of stuff going on at the moment at Crowd Supply. First of all, I would love to big up Joey Castillo's Sensor Watch Pro. Many of you may be familiar with this hack, and Joey, this is a really awesome replacement PCB for the internals of a Casio F91W. Not only can you do all sorts of different watch faces and Mars time and dark mode. Everybody wants dark mode on their Casio, but you can also end in some really cool sensors as well. And the battery life is multiple years. So love this hack, love Joey. He's a great follow on Mastodon, does lots of really interesting and insightful posts on actually how to make stuff as well. So would very much recommend you follow him. And if you're interested in getting this, we've got 28 days left in this campaign. He's smashing it already. Good job, Joey. So if you want to support that, you've got just over a month left. Also live at the moment from Kevin Capuccio is the Jumperless FV5. Which is for lack of a better way to describe it, let's call it a software-defined breadboard with shiny LEDs. There's also a really awesome PCB probe there. This was a great workshop at Teardown this year, and everybody loved it. So really happy to see that he's also smashed his goal with 28 days left. Nearly at 70 grand. That's great. Good for you, Kevin. Both Kevin and Joey and myself will be at the Hacker Days Super Conference, which is at the beginning of November. I'll also be doing a stream live from the Super Conference on the Friday, which is November the 1st. So I'll interview some of these creators and I'll do a little tour around on my phone like I did a couple of years back as well. So if you're interested in SuperCon but not going, join us for that stream. What else we've got live at the moment? Oh yeah, we've got this open source e-paper typewriter. I actually have one of the prototypes of this in my office at the moment. It looks very cool. Yeah, this is an e-paper typewriter. You can get what it does from that description. There's lots of really exciting e-paper stuff happening at the moment. These guys, Modos, really cool stuff. What else have we got? We've got a modular RTL SDR system called DeepRad, for those of you that enjoy software-defined radios. We also have a design challenge running at the moment in collaboration with Make Magazine and the Open Source Hardware Association. And the folks at USB KVM, they're running a DIY challenge. So if that is your cup of tea, please go along. We've got loads of great prizes. Finally, before I bring on my guest today, I would like to say thank you so much to our sponsor of today's stream, Qorvo. We do have a Qorvo RF accelerator, so if you're developing something using RF technology and a Qorvo component, please bring it to us, and we'll get some special treatment, and we'll be very happy. All right, so I'm going to bring on, enough of me, let me bring on my guest. At the stage, Carrie. Hello, Carrie.
Hey.
Hello. Please introduce yourself to the folks at home.
Oh, hello. I am Carrie Sundra, and I have a small, hardware hacking plus yarn tool company called Alpenglow Industries. And I also, like, the more yarn stuff is under Alpenglow Yarn. But yeah, I do all sorts of things. I am really passionate about getting people into electronics who are like already working with their hands. And I want to convince more people who are into making things that electronics is just yet one more thing that they can make and learn about that it's not any different from like learning how to cook or learning how to use power tools or anything like that. It is just as accessible as all of those things. So we make a lot of kind of entry-level weird kits that hopefully get people excited about doing that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. I love these. Let me, I'm going to just go to this is my favorite. I've got two favorites of your products. This one is the Merry Krampus. It's very seasonal and just a very attractive board. And everybody always comments on it when I wear it. I actually wear it like a necklace at Christmas time with a red dress. It looks fantastic. So that's Merry Krampus. I really like that one. And then this one always makes me laugh when I see it in the wild as well. Can we talk about this?
Yeah, that was actually like one of the first soldering kits that I designed. And, you know, I've never been one for Valentine's Day. I'm not like super mushy and romantic. And so I just kind of got tired of all of the mushy romantic Valentine's Day marketing. And I was just like, how about a snarky Valentine?
So talk me through here. Yeah. You're number one.
So it's all, you know, tongue-in-cheek, like you're number one. Number one what? Not gonna ask, but
that's never to ask an American. Number one what?
And I thought I would do something that might just drive people who really like very tidy things crazy.
The PCB layer on this one is it's a choice. It's a choice. And it makes me laugh every time I see one in the wild. I really like
the acute angle too. Like that one really.
This one's this one. Oh, that one really upsets me. That one's very upsetting. Yeah. And these, no. It's very upsetting. Yeah, it's it is one of the more upsetting PCBs I've seen, and I do enjoy it.
Yeah, and one of those LEDs is just backwards compared
to tell me not. No, it's not.
Oh, I was gonna be.
That's very upsetting. I can see it. Actually. You can see it in the when you zoom in.
I did mark it. I was that nice. But I was tempted to be super mean and use anode marked LEDs instead of cathode marked LEDs. I know, but I was like, okay, that might be one step too cruel.
Maybe a little.
Make the kit and not be mad that it doesn't light up, right? So.
Oh my word. Yeah, so you've got some really funny PCBs, you've got some great tutorials, you've got some great these are SMD kits, but you know, you've got lots of through hole as well for those who but you've also got a whole bunch of yarn stuff. Like, what's up with that, Carrie? What's going on with the yarn? Can you talk us through that and how that fits in?
Yeah, so like my first midlife crisis happened when I was like, I don't know, in my 30s or something, early 30s, I think, where I was just like, I'm over-engineering. I don't do it anymore.
This is your duck farm. Is this your duck farm?
Yeah, I dyed yarn for a while. I dyed yarn.
Yes.
Yeah, I dyed yarn with natural dyes, and it was super interesting, really fun to learn new things. The chemistry of all that crap is like way over my head, but I can at least, I at least can understand what it is like to do the same, to document your processes, do the same process over and over, and hopefully get the same results. So, yeah, it was super fun, but I just didn't love the actual work enough to kind of scale it in the way that I would need to scale it in order to really start making it. And then, like, at that point in time, a friend of mine was like, hey, you should join my startup. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not really doing anything else, so I guess so. And then I was like, oh, wow, startup world is way messed up. And I hate it. And so, so it didn't last too long there. And then I went back into making things and like actually engineering a tool, because like I needed to prove to myself that I still had it. I'm like, it's been so long since I had designed a circuit board or worked with electronics. It'd been like a few years at that point. And I was just like, I have all of this pent up energy. And so like I made one of the first yarn tools which was something that I had always wanted to have when I was dyeing. And it was basically like a box that added automation to these tabletop yarn winders that other people were making. They were great, but like, and I didn't want to make a winder at that point because I was like way too much mechanical stuff and, you know, wood and inventory. And, like, I didn't want to mess with that. But I was like, okay, well, these winders are kind of terrible because you literally had to turn it on, turn it off, like turn it on, watch a rotation counter count up to like 200 and then turn it off when it got there. And I was just like, you know, there are better ways.
There are better
really
ways.
Good at counting. Microprocessors are great at counting. So I basically, like, that was my first, like, that was actually my first foray into embedded programming. I grabbed an Arduino and I dug C code way out of the back of my head because I had like 2 classes in C in college. And I was just like, oh yeah, this sort of like makes sense. And like, oh, now I have this rad application. Like I have a thing that I'm trying to do. I have a project and a problem that I'm trying to solve. And suddenly, like, I loved programming, where before it was just like, it was really rough for me and I was not.
Same. Like, unless there's a project, I'm so not interested.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the first time I tried coding, it was for web and I was just so uninterested. As soon as somebody gave me a robot to code, I was like, right, all right, this is dope. This is dope. Like, I don't care about your websites, but
I don't care about bubble sort. Like, other people have figured out great ways of sorting things, whatever. Like, it's totally not interesting to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's somebody else's problem. Yeah, I know, that's cool. So it's actually very linked. That's very cool. And you did a great talk about this as well at the at Teardown this year. I did also want to highlight the fact that you've done like a bunch of projects out there as well. So it's not just documenting your own products. You've done loads of stuff on different platforms as well. So
I would love to hear if anybody is using my big numbers library for Arduino, because I actually developed that for the skein minder, that first yarn tool that I made, and like I needed a 4x4 letter, like big number that I could display on a character LCD. And like the bummer about about GitHub is it doesn't really tell you how many downloads, or at least I haven't figured out how to get that information. So yeah, I'm very curious. I don't have any data on like how many people have actually like installed that library or used that library.
Well, there is something that I know that people have used a lot, which is this talk that I'm about to bring up. But before I move on to that, I just want to take a moment to delve into our comment section and say hi to the people who are joining us today. Everybody. Timon is the first to say hello. Hello, Timon. Really love to see you. Thank you for showing up. We've got Architect This Flux, who I believe is Kevin.
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
Kevin,
okay. Good. Yep. Yeah. I recognize the horrifying avatar. Nice one. Kevin is the creator of. Let me just switch back to it. This. Oh yeah, there's the horrifying avatar again. Wonderful. So yeah, and we'll be on the stream not next week, but the week after when I go to LA for SuperCon. So hello, Kevin. Let's just pull you back to.
Yeah, Kevin has a giant version of the Krampus that I made for.
That's what I was about to ask. Okay, so Kevin also mentions down here. God. Giant Mega Krampus says hi as well. Excuse me, what is Giant Mega Krampus, Carrie?
Oh, man.
Why do I not have
one? I know. Why haven't I documented that project as well? Actually?
Why? Tell me why.
GitHub. It is on GitHub, and there might even be a picture of it on GitHub. But But basically, like for this, there's a Christmas exchange that me and some maker friends do, and it's now kind of becoming a tradition where we do it white elephant Zoom style. So we all agree on a date, and it's usually actually after Christmas, after the holidays. Like that worked super well for us last year because we were all too busy at the holidays.
Yeah.
So we did it like in January, and the idea is you make something and you bring it wrapped to the Zoom meeting. And then we do we do a white elephant thing. So everybody gets a number. And when your number comes up, you can either steal somebody's present that's already been opened, or you can choose to open a new one. But of course, you're just picking the person, and the person who brought the present opens it, right? And explains it, stuff like that. And so we do these versions of the Krampus that are just twist together circuits that are laser etched. You stick LEDs through the eyes, twist together with some resistors on the back. Yeah. And I was like, how big can I make that? Like, what if I made it the entire bed of my laser, which is like 2 feet by 3 feet? And I had these super cool LEDs that I got from All Electronics before they closed. And they're like a 1-inch lens with 6 LEDs in them. And they're just standard red analog LEDs. Like, you have a common, I forget if it was common anode or cathode, one of the two, right? And then like all the individual LEDs. And so it's really cool. You can actually I used them for the eyes. And so you can animate these patterns with the eyes and make them swirl, or make it have a pupil that looks around, or just make them glow. And then I used LED nudes, the Adafruit nudes, for the tongue. So I outlined the tongue.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
It was sick. So it couldn't have gone to a more awesome, appreciative person. It just happened that Kevin got that, and he was just like, yes.
Wait, I think I found.
Yeah, that's it.
What is this? It?
That's it. That's.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Those LED noodles are so funny. I love it.
I know, but look, you can see the eyes, how there's a fireball animation kind of going around them in a second. It goes through a few different ones, and it's all terrible blocking code because I was in a rush to get it done. But it was so much fun. It was one of the best projects I think.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I need to make one for myself.
Yes. Nice. Okay, so Mega Krampus has been explained. We've got Axwax here who says hola, hiya, and Andy Piper. Oh, hiya, Andy. Hi, nice to see you. Saying hey, friends. I keep as many of my LEDs will fit in my big Alpenglow LED box.
Yeah.
Chipperdoodles. We were just talking about you earlier, Chipperdoodles. Number one hater pin. Yeah. Off stream, me and Carrie were talking about you, I should say. Good things.
Good things. All good things about your
good things.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Right angles be damned. Crossing the line. This is what was being commented when we were looking at your your number one.
Well, and I was admiring when you had Joey's sensor watch photo up there. He's done all of the swoopy traces, and they're super
lovely.
Cute. I know.
I love a swoopy trace. I love a. I've got this really old Wurlitzer PCB on my wall. Well, it's actually not on my wall. I'm moving at the moment, but it's a giant Wurlitzer PCB with some of the keys still attached, and it's from the days of valves, but the PCB design itself is just absolutely gorgeous. There's no, it's just swoopy and curvy, and it's just lovely, very old-fashioned. Hello. Anyway, Andrew Sink, hello, howdy. Dave Darko joining us from Berlin. Really nice to hear from you. Actually, I need to chat to you. I might be coming to Berlin next year. Yes. Hello, Dave. Nice to see you. Alicia White. Oh my gosh. Hi. Yeah. Thank you so much for dropping in. Lovely. Oh my gosh. Really nice to see you. Yay. And Trevor Flowers as well. Delightful. Good morning. Good morning. Oh my gosh. Lots of people saying hi. Even Joey Castillo is here.
It's so hot right now.
We're gassing you up and you're in the chat.
Awesome.
I love to see it. I love to see it. Oh, dope. Dave Darko, soon on my way to SuperCon with Alex. Come, mate. Dave, come stay in Portland. Come to me. I'm very excited. I'm actually coming to SuperCon. I'm going to SuperCon, not for the whole time. I'm going to be there on the Friday, and then I'm leaving Saturday evening. So I am actually going this year. It's very exciting. More love for swoopy traces from Chipperdoodles. Fantastic. All right, brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for checking in and saying hello.
Yeah.
Nice to see how many people we know in there as well.
Thanks everybody for coming. I'm so excited. Thank you.
All right, wait, let's get back to where was I? Oh yeah, I was going to talk about your so actually last week the reason I had this on was not just because we're going to SuperCon, the person excited for SuperCon. So is this talk that you gave in 2022 came up in my live stream last week when I talked to Alexa, who is the creator of Thunderscope, which is a software-defined oscilloscope where basically it's just well, anyway, it's live now. You can see it. Where have I got it? It's probably up here. Have I not?
Yeah.
What an outrage! Here it is. Thunderscope. There we go. Here we go. That's going really well as well. But yeah, so it's just an oscilloscope. But anyway, this guy Alexa was talking to me, and I said that I was talking to you, and he said that your talk that you gave at SuperCon in 2022 was massively influential to him in terms of learning how to actually get stuff made. So that's what I want to move on to. Is number one, I wanted to tell everybody that this talk exists and that you should watch it. And actually, several of our creators have said how helpful this 20-minute talk is. So definitely other people should check this out. It's called Manufacturing on a Shoestring Budget. And it contains like a bunch of useful information. It's just stuff that you can learn how to make a PCB online, right? You know, it's not that hard, right? But actually some of the stuff, some of these kinds of things, that knowledge is hard to come by, you know, this practical lived knowledge. So people are very appreciative of that.
And a product is more than a PCB. Even if it's just like a PCB in a box, it's still, you have like your user using it and how they're going to interface with it. And it's like, yes, you can get PCBs made, but the PCB is not actually your total product. No, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to this talk just because it has been serendipitously mentioned a number of times recently on the stream, and people find it super helpful. So I wanted to call out the fact that it exists, but I also wanted to use it as a jumping off point for talking about the value of events in the hardware world. You know, the sharing of information that happens at these events and the making of connections and the finding of business and all that kind of stuff. It's something that I know both of us have found great value in. So let me just switch over to this tab here. You also came to Teardown, which is the conference that I run. A hardware conference happens in June. Wait, also, can I just say, we didn't plan this. But hang on, wait, I've got to take this off. Like, Harry and I are wearing the same T-shirt today. This is Teardown 2024 T-shirt. See, look at the escalators. There's like a PCB at the top. We didn't plan this. It's just that these T-shirts are just, and I rarely wear jeans and a T-shirt. I'm a dress girl. But yeah, we actually came to be wearing the same stream. But yeah, so Carrie did come to the last one and gave a great talk and a great workshop. Yes, and more news of that coming soon, actually. Where was I? Oh, yes. So you gave a talk here about using 3D printed parts for production, again, with the practical tips on actually getting stuff made. Yeah. But you also gave another workshop, and I'd like to talk about your workshop. What was it called? So it was Workshop on Workshops. It was a meta workshop. A meta workshop, great. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it. So I had just done this spring a bunch of workshops hosted here at our, small little warehouse facility. And I actually got a grant from the city of San Luis Obispo and it was a diversity, equity, and inclusion grant. And my whole thing was that I want to do these workshops and I want to reach out to people who are underrepresented in STEM and get more participation for those communities and, show them that it is a thing that they belong in. So yeah, and I applied for this grant. I wrote up the whole proposal. It was actually not an intimidating process. I am not a grant writer. I write things a lot, right? Blog things and instruction things. And I'm not at all experienced in writing grants, but because it was the city, you know, they kind of made that process more accessible to businesses. And the other thing that was super cool about that grant, and it's the only one that I've ever heard of, is that it was specifically for for-profit businesses to help them get diversity, like encourage diversity in their communities. And a lot of these grants are only for nonprofit organizations. So like I wouldn't be able to apply. And like that was really unusual. So they made it really accessible. They made the application process easy. It wasn't too intimidating to write it up. Like I did a budget. I, you know, wrote all my things about why, what, where, how, like, and yeah, and I got it. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then it was like, oh shit, now I have to do this. Right? Like one of those things. Like, yay, and oh my God. So we did all of this work and planning. I mean, not only was it the curriculum of the workshops themselves, I basically did two. One was a learn how to solder, and one was like learn about circuits. And so you didn't have to do them both. Like the soldering was just about soldering. You didn't have to know anything about circuits to do it. The circuits was just about circuits, and you didn't have to solder to do it. And a lot of people took both, and that was really cool, especially when they like took one and then signed up for the other one later. But we did a ton of outreach ahead of time. And
talk me through that process, because what did that look like? So you've got the budget, you've got the curriculum, you know what you're going to do. I'm assuming at this point you know where you're going to do it as well.
Yeah.
But then you need to find the people to come, right?
Yes.
So how did you go about that? And how did you bear that in mind while you were designing the course itself as well?
Yes. And outreach was a major part of the budget for the grant, like our time to do this. And also there was a little bit of money for postcard and flyer design in the budget as well. And so like the first thing I did was hired Claire Cassidy to make amazing flyers and postcards. And she did a fantastic job. And that was really key. Like
Claire Cassidy.
Yeah.
An open source stalwart. And one of, I'd say Claire Cassidy's guide to LEDs is so good. So if you're an LED dabbler, you should definitely check out Claire Cassidy's LED guide. I believe it's available on GitHub, but I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Yeah. She has many skills, like hardware skills, software skills, like, Mastodon and she has great aesthetic sense too. So it's like
I think it's Laser Mistress, right, on Mastodon.
Yes.
Cool. So you can. I don't know where exactly it's hosted, but if you're an LED dabbler, like 100% download that guide to LEDs.
Yeah, if you can find her link tree, it should be on her link tree on like any social platform. Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes if you're watching this afterwards. If you're watching this live, sorry, you'll have to Google it yourself. So you made a physical mailer, and then what?
So yes, we didn't actually like mail anything through the post office, but we made things that we could leave places and give out to people and post in places. Yes. And so, you know, I mean, you basically, I kind of approached it like I used to be like the social chair in college one year, which means that like I was in charge of all the parties. And like before that, I was the social representative for my dorm, which meant that like I was planning parties for the dorm. And part of party planning is postering. And you just go around and you plaster posters everywhere. And like in college, of course, a lot of beer is involved. And like you're pretty, pretty rude with where you're putting posters and stuff, just like plastering them everywhere. So I went into this with like a more adult approach where, there was coffee involved, but not as much beer. And I just started anywhere that there is a community bulletin board. I would like go into the establishment, and that's a lot of coffee shops. So I hit up so many coffee shops around town, and I would go in and I would actually just talk a little bit to the people behind the counter. I wouldn't just like sneak my poster up, right? I would be like, hey, we're doing these things. And people were like, whoa, that sounds really cool, you know? So a little bit of, getting people who work there to know about it too, as well as putting it on the bulletin board. And a lot of people came from those bulletin board flyers, giving them to other local businesses that have more of like a retail public facing presence than we do, because we don't really have like a retail store or anything. So I gave them to like a few local business owners who I know. Like I posted one at the climbing gym, which I'm like, a longtime member of. Where else? And so then we did specific outreach. So like I reached out to our local Pride Center and, went there, and I went to one of their like donor meetings, because we also like, donate like once a year to them. And, I talked to them about it, and I emailed into like the NAACP chapter, and, it's just like, okay, so where are there already groups that exist that serve the people that you want to, reach out to? And then another really excellent source of students was our local community college.
Yes.
And it turns out that they have 2 different programs running right now. They have like 2 different grants that are basically to encourage minority representation in STEM and minority participation in STEM. And one is like a state grant, and one is a federal grant. And so they have these 2 different programs running concurrently. And I was able to meet with the directors of both of those programs. And, they were just like, this is awesome. Like, can we just send people your way? I'm like, yes, please. And like, please use these discount codes too, because we want them to be accessible to people of various economic standings, right? And so we had it just in the listing, like, hey, if the cost of this workshop would be a barrier to you attending, here's a coupon code that reduces the entire cost of the workshop to $5.
Yeah.
And
that's a really interesting point. So I think a lot of people, when they think about doing outreach for workshops, they might assume that everything is done for free. But actually, that's really bad practice and leads to people just not coming.
Exactly.
And not valuing it as well. So
Yes.
I wonder if you might speak a little bit about that, about pricing strategy.
Yeah. So because we had this grant, we could be really flexible in the pricing. And even our full price, it was $20 for a 2-hour soldering workshop. And it was $40 for like a 3 to 4 hour electronics workshop. So like
that's super
cheap.
Super cheap. Yeah.
Doesn't cover the cost of our time for setting up, being there, materials, like the whole 9 yards. And there were 2 of us. There's me and my employee, Robin. Like it would have been a lot harder to do just myself. Having 2 people there was really, really great. Because she could help people that were like a little bit behind or had come late. That was an interesting thing, like how many people come late and how late they come. I was like, oh, okay.
Speaking of late people, hi, Jason.
Late. That's hilarious.
I know it. Hi.
So yeah, it was really great to have a second person who was able to kind of catch people up or give people extra help who needed a little bit of extra help.
Important. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
But I didn't want them to be for free, because exactly that thing. I knew if they were free, I would just get a ton of no-shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we still did get no-shows, but it wasn't that many. And like, this was a small, like we could only basically fit like 12 people for soldering and I think like 15 people for electronics. So there were small class sizes. And we just wanted them to be, we wanted the people who signed up to show up. So, yeah.
Yeah. I will add a little note here around payment structures. I mean, in my experience, I've experienced a lot of the same things as you. But there's one other thing which I've experimented with, which is the pay what you can model. And I actually don't like it after having worked with it, because it gives people with financial anxiety even more anxiety, because they're not sure what they should be paying. So, and they're not sure if the price is if they can afford it, like it's actually, I've seen that. Well, I mean, I've seen that in a few projects that I've run, that's actually been negative because they're like, it's adding anxiety on top of an already anxious financial situation for them, which I thought was quite interesting. Yeah, so I've had more success with this is the price and this is a discounted price rather than it's a continuum, it's your choice, because that's adding stress. Even though it sounds good, like it's actually, in my experience, it's been actually negative.
That's so interesting. I wonder if you gave like kind of basic guidelines there, if that
you can totally do that. Yeah. But just the whole, you can totally do that and that will help. But I found it to be off-putting to some people, definitely. Yeah, but otherwise, you're absolutely right. You do need to charge something, even if it's something small, in order for people to turn up. Otherwise, you just get people. If it's free, people value it as nothing. And that's true of labor just in general. That's true. This is interesting. So Chipazul says, as an interspoke myself, I get what Helen means 100%, like feeling really guilty that you're paying too little and not knowing what you can actually afford. Yes. I've been poor and I've had the same experience as well, so I have that empathy. I'm always thinking like, can I actually afford this? Am I paying too little? Like, should I really be paying this much? Is this, do I deserve to be paying the smaller amount? Or is this really for people who are truly in need? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like a whole thing, right? And then here we go. And on the other side from Timon saying, even on the opposite end, then I don't really know how much I should be paying. Not having any benchmarks definitely makes it anxiety inducing. So that tracks with my experience, that's for sure. But I did definitely want to say as well that I want to underline the importance of physical mailers in this, of physical things in this whole process. I think when you can advertise things online and get people online, but you're only going to get a certain subset of people. By having physical mailers, you're taking it out of that space. You're taking it out of the meetup.com crowd, and you're bringing it actually into the community by going to places where the community actually is, right? Physical mailers, postcards, flyers, they really can't, the importance of them cannot be overstated, really, when you're trying to organize an event, like a grassroots event, right? And hitting the road and talking to people as well. Like, most of the time that I've spent organizing, like from a meetup to a conference, is spent me just walking, like I'm on my feet, going places, talking to people, because people don't answer emails and they don't respond to you in the same way. You got to go there and just talk to people, put flyers up in real places, and find out. You don't reinvent things, right? There are already like 1 billion community organizations doing cool things with people, with all sorts of people, and you can offer your services to them and join in a joined up way, rather than just trying to do something on your own without like leaning on other things. So going to where people already are. And also the design is important. Very much so. Like, I hold a one of the events that I've done it in various cities in various countries, but I now run Hardware Happy Hour in Portland, which is a very vibrant and a monthly meetup. There's loads of projects on tables, and we all hang out and have beers and so on. But the image is always it's a little whistle to people, so they know that it's for them too, right? There's painted nails in that photograph, and yes, it's electronics, but it's slightly unusual, right? And it's just a visual signifier that yes, this is for you too. And I think that's something that I've had a lot of success with, in terms of like signifying online that something, if this was just a picture, like a typical picture of a PCB on a table, our demographic of people turning up would be very different. And so it's, I think, having that, thinking about that and making it, I mean, it doesn't have to be as explicit. I mean, I just had that because that's my hands, right? And I've got those pictures handy. But, just making it not feel that exclusive, right?
Or something that's like overly schooly. And like Claire did such a good job on the language of those flyers. And it was great because like it's been a while for me, right? Since I was
Yeah.
like new to electronics and new to soldering. And so like, you know, she put this together in a way that was just really enticing for new people. And it was just like, electronics is for everyone. Like, come learn. Are you at all curious about this? Have you
exactly.
like,
Curious is a great word to put in there, because curious implies you don't have to know something, you just have to be interested in it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I will also say, while we're on this hitting the road and talking to things, so for this particular, I mean, this is we meet in a bar and we talk about projects. Like, it runs itself at this point, right? You know, but when I was first setting it up, I spent hours and hours and hours and hours on the street walking to because finding the correct venue is so important for something like this. Like, we do have other hardware meetups in Portland. There's Dorkbot, which is at the Hackerspace, and then there's the Portland Hardware Meetup, which is more like kind of short talks, and that's that's usually at one of the hardware related corporate places around town, like Autodesk is sometimes the host. But for this one, I specifically wanted it to be extremely low barrier. You can come in, have a drink, leave again. So it's not like you're not locked in like you would be if you go to an event at a hackerspace. So this is very purposefully very low barrier. There's lots of shiny, fun things to look at. And it's okay if you don't know anything about any of them. You're welcome anyway. And as a result, we've had so many more people come from different backgrounds and then bring their friends who are also interested in this thing. And like, it's become, you know, at a certain point, it becomes, you know, like it starts to take off. Like when you know, when people say like, oh, there's no women in this, or there's no blah blah blah, it's like, well, actually my friends and I would like to disagree with you. We do exist, but we just don't want to hang out with you. Like,
that's a lot.
But when
that's
right?
a lot
it's
of
just
it. Like, you don't want to be hanging out in a space that still feels like work.
Exactly. You don't want to be a dog doing a card trick. And once you know that there's that critical mass of other technical women, I think it just starts to become a bit of a magnet, because you're like, oh yeah, this is for us. It's all right. You know.
And I would also say, like, a lot of people, you know, I mean, a lot of people in electronics like self-identify as introverted, right? Like, oh, I am introverted. Oh, it's really hard for me to like go up to a stranger that I don't know and talk to them and stuff like that. And like, yes, it is uncomfortable and it is hard, right? I mean, I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle of introverted, extroverted. Like, I can totally be extroverted, but oh my gosh, then I need some little nap time or downtime. Like, I need a little time out, right?
Seriously. I think after I finished Teardown, I'm similar. Like, after I finished Teardown this year, I think I just faced the wall for a week. I was like, voluntary Blair Witch Project. Just like, no interactions. I just want to look at a blank wall.
And
Blair Witch.
So it's something that you can work on, and it also, even to somebody who's like slightly more extroverted than you, it still is uncomfortable to them too. It's just that, like, it's just experience. You just practice, you do it more. And like, if you're like cold talking to people about your workshop or event or whatever, you know, have like a little script in your head and like practice it a little bit yourself first. And just have like maybe 3 key points that you want to hit in that conversation. And maybe one of them is introducing yourself, because like, you know, that is something that, you know, you might forget to do. And and it gets easier. It gets easier with more practice. Does. So I just want to reassure people that you're probably not as weird as you think you are.
Well, that's the thing though, that we are all weird. It's that I want to be weird with my weird folks. I don't want to be considered weird because of my gender. You know? That's the thing. Sure. Like, I'm a weird, awkward nerd, and I want to hang out with weird, awkward nerds. I don't want someone to make me feel even more weird and even more awkward within that subsection. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, let's just info dump together. Like, like, you know? Let's just take turns info dumping. We're going to have a great time.
Right?
Like, let me tell you about my latest niche specific interest.
Right?
Oh, Lord. Okay. Yeah. So, Yeah, it's nice. I mean, can I also just have a side rant about being invited to go somewhere to talk about what it's like to be a woman in hardware? It's like, please just ask me to talk about something I'm good at. Like, I don't want to be talking about what it's like. What, do you know what I mean? It's like, stop. Like, I'm a person who I don't know, it just drives me crazy when I'm asked to speak specifically about my experience in, you know, X demographic. It's just like, please, like, I can talk about other things, and I feel like, don't silo me into that.
Don't make it the main subject. Like, I'm probably going to talk about that in the middle of my talk, so you'll get that. But yes, I would like to talk about something that is like more like
substantive.
Substantive, and like like something that the community is talking about and would find interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, yes, siloing the one, like pushing. I think like anyway, whatever. Rant that particular rant over. Let's go back into the comments, because we got some good ones here. So Axwaxer says, has anyone done any pay forward events where people can pay more to subsidize discounted ticks? Would love to hear how well that works. Actually, we do that at SuperCon. Lies. I'm about to go to SuperCon, so I've got SuperCon on the brain. We're about to go. We do that at Teardown. So we have an option when you buy a ticket. There's an option to add on like a $50 extra, right? And that $50 is directly one extra person. So we gave away loads of tickets last year, and that was primarily down to the generosity of other conference attendees, and B, we offered it as like, you know, when we get sponsorship, like event sponsorship from Corvo. So for example, you know, like Corvo, thank you, Corvo.
And thank you, Corvo.
Thank you, Corvo. Sponsored Carrie's workshop. But they also gave us money to pay for other people's tickets as well. And as a result, I was able to be like, to all the community organizers, you know, we brought in loads of people for free who would not have otherwise been able to come. So I feel like that works super well. And like when you give it away for free in that instance, it has a high value attached to it as well. It's like, this is well, I mean, depending on when you buy it, like, but like, you know, it's just like a couple $100s, right? This is a significant thing to be giving away, right?
Yeah. And I've done that too. Like, I got tickets for Teardown actually both years, because so I got tickets for Teardown like the previous year, and I was going to go, and then I just couldn't get it together. And I think I contacted you, and I was like, hey, can you give these to somebody? Like, I would rather them just go to somebody who could use them.
And we use them. We really do.
Was gone. I didn't really need it back. I would rather it like, and like I ended up with an extra ticket this year because I ended up doing the talk, and I got a presenter ticket. And so I was able to distribute that within the community as well. And that was just more of like a grassroots thing. Like, hey, does anybody know anybody who would like to attend, but wouldn't be able to, you know, otherwise? And it went to somebody who was like a student and was super stoked on it. So like, that was great.
Yeah. Oh, here we are. Example here, Chipperdoodles. I wouldn't have been able to go to Teardown without the help of some very generous people. Like, we do help bring people in. And I think that's really dope. So very cool. All right. So what else have we got? Alicia said, we do exist. We just don't want to hang out with you. Yeah, it's true though. I'm like, I can't find any. It's like, mate, like most of my friends, like, anyway, whatever. It's true. Like, it's you know, you get the way, because you're gonna have a bad time. Like, if you know you're gonna have a bad time at a conference, like, why would you go? Like, you know, if it's just, and it only takes like a couple of people to mess up your day for you. / weekends / whole conference. You know, it's. It is what it is. But once an event has critical mass, I think it does change.
Yes, for sure.
And Jason gassing us up here. I'm so glad you exist, and that we do want to hang out with you. Well, we're glad you exist too, Jason. You bring so
Same.
much joy to a lot of people. So delightful.
Yeah.
And Trevor Flowers, whoever figures out cheap but good telepresence bots for MakerCons will be a hero. I agree.
Mhm.
I used a really awesome telepresence bot at, have you been to Circuit Launch in Oakland? It's like this kind of, it's like a makerspace, but it's like really big makerspace with loads of tools, but it's kind of a bit more startup-y focused. There's a bunch of small hardware companies that work out of it. Have you been there?
No.
It's like, oh, I don't know Oakland. I'm not even going to attempt to explain it to you. Anyway, yeah, so it's a Circuit Launch. They've got a couple of cool telepresence bots. Yeah, I'm gonna try and borrow them for Teardown next year, because I agree, it would be so cool. I would love to have telepresence bots roaming around.
Yes. Yes.
We'd have to figure out how people could maintain privacy, though. Maybe it's like a black. Anyway, I would like to have telepresence bots. Maybe, yeah. Anyway, Timon commented hard. Oh, cute. Yes, exactly. Yes. Love it. A few conference organizers who watch the stream. I don't disagree with you, Timon. I don't disagree with you. So yeah, let's carry on talking about events. We talked about hardware happy hour. We talked about the fact that you need to just hit the streets, talk to people, find the right venue. The venue is really, really important as well. Like, and I guess not. What did you do with these workshops? Did you host them at your place? At your gaff?
Yeah, because like, we needed tools and supplies, and we needed a massive soldering irons, and we needed to know that we had electrical that could take massive soldering irons, plus a couple space heaters because it was cold in our unheated workshop, right? So we did it here because it was just easier for us. And also we had like a little bit of an extra limitation. The grant money had to be, it had to be spent on activities located within the city of San Luis Obispo. So we had like a little bit of extra requirements there. But what I did was I sent out an email towards the end. It was like maybe the day before. Towards the beginning, it was like the week before, and that's what I would shoot for again. But it was just a little email that was like, hi, you're signed up for this thing next week. We're super excited to have you. Here's what you can expect. Here's where our facility is located. We have an all-gender bathroom that is accessible. We have an accessible parking spot. If there's anything else you need that would make you more comfortable, please let us know. And that was super interesting because like one of the last responses that we got was like, oh, hi, I'm a member of, like, thank you so much for asking. I'm a member of the deaf community, and it would be great if I could have some subtitles on your screens and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, subtitles, I'm on it. I'm like, I got like 2 days to figure out how to do this.
That's dope. But if you hadn't sent that email asking, they might have just come and suffered through it, and it would have been a worse experience for them, and you would have had a worse experience as well, because you'd have been struggling to include somebody and you'd have been feeling terrible. So that advanced, laying out what facilities are available and asking people, it's just and it reduces the people who will drop out as well. So having that pre-event communication is super important as well.
Giving people the opportunity and the in to asking, like, to telling you what they need, because and that was like
inviting them to do so.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think she was a little bit hesitant to email me first, even though that like might not make sense to like me as a hearing person, like, right, I would be like, well, of course I would want to know, right? But I could see how that she might be afraid of the reaction, and or telling her not to come at all, or because I'm not or whatever. And so just like opening that door so that people can walk through it is just so helpful. Like, and it's a little thing that you can do.
Totally. I'd also, while we're talking about the venue side of things, I also wanted to, from the conference side of things and the hardware happy hour I meet at, the hardware happy hour, it was very important to me to make sure that the staff were on board as well as the manager, because I've had situations where the manager wants the business, but the staff are grumpy as all hell. And then because they don't want you there, right?
Yeah.
The manager wants you there. The staff don't want that many people in one space. So you've got to make sure that it's a place that actually enjoys you. And that involves a lot of talking. And that does sometimes involve some trial and error. And one tip for running an event like a hardware happy hour at a bar, do it on a Tuesday. Do it on an off day. So don't think that you can turn up on a Thursday or Friday and have any success. So I've had people, I've been talking to bars and they're like, no, we don't do this, we don't do that. And I'm like, it's on a Tuesday. And they're like, oh. Well, that changes things,
right?
So Tuesdays are a good day. So definitely, those are things to check out when you're looking for venues. Is the staff, the managers, both like you, and the day is convenient for catering as well. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And also for the conference side of things, I mean, I spent a lot of time looking at a lot of different locations for when I took over Teardown 2024.
Right.
And I spent months and months looking at different locations. We previously held it at academic institutions. We held it at Portland State University, one of the community colleges, the art college. But
I loved them all. I loved them all so much. I loved it.
I just wanted to break free of edu-Rome. I wanted to there are so many rules when you do an event in an academic institution. So many you have to deal with them all. And I was just like, listen, I don't have a background in like events management. I'm a Euro hacker who does hardware stuff. But so to me, like my inclination was to go for the much more kind of grassroots option. So I looked at lots of different places and there were many options, and the sensible option would have been to go for somewhere more corporate that had a pick from this menu, pick your room configuration, here's your AV costs.
Right. Yeah.
But I got my friend Victoria, who runs the Portland Hardware Meetup actually now. She just went to a conference inside this semi-abandoned mall in the center of Portland called the Lloyd Center Mall. And I went in there and I just was like, this is going to be so much work. Like, basically they give you the keys and say, good luck, no internet, no chat, nothing. I had to bring literally everything in, installing, every single power cable, every single, but I felt like moving it from an academic setting into this more kind of neutral, chaotic, hackery setting. It really changed the vibe of the event. It really changed the event. I mean, of course, it's still got all this, similar content, very hardware focused, but changing the venue definitely changed the event. So I really wouldn't underestimate the importance of venue choice and how much influence it has on your event. So go to see lots of places.
Definitely.
And think about
think out of the box for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
On spaces.
Yeah, you can often find, so I've always run hardware happy hours at bars, or actually sometimes at Exheim, my hackerspace, the hackerspace I used to belong to in Berlin. I have a sticker on my phone. Actually,
nice.
Dave Darko is a member of the Exheim hackerspace, one of my faves. But because bars are easy to come and go, right, and that's the whole point. And the which is great, but the mall itself was I've never done something like that, and it was really dope. Yeah, it looked like it was really cool.
Yeah, it was also nice to not have to worry about parking.
Yes,
seriously, there will be parking.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of effort trying to find where to get all of these things from, but it was really dope. And again, I did lots of physical stuff, like going to places with postcards, and personally inviting people. It takes a lot of time.
It does.
It's not as simple when people say, "Oh, there's nobody." there's no women speakers at this conference because like, oh, well, we're just choosing the best. Like, well, they just don't exist. And it's like, well, yeah, it does.
So why aren't you getting the best women speakers applying then?
Well, we do exist. We have, we do exist, of course, but it is tough sometimes because you do have to put in more effort. It doesn't fall into your lap in the way. If you want to make sure if you want to have a diverse conference, you've got to put in the legwork. And you've got to invite people. I think that's really important.
And like it's so interesting because like I just got done with Lambtown, which is a big yarn fiber festival, and I'm part of a team of 5 organizers for it. This is like a big fairgrounds show. There's like 5,000 attendees, 76 vendors, a whole pile of workshops, like I don't know, like 45 or 50 different classes, like half day or full day classes. So like a lot of planning and people involved, but the team is continuously like throughout the year, like thinking about who they want to bring in to the conference. Like, and if they're at another show and they see another vendor, whose stuff that they really think is a great fit, then they'll like talk that vendor, and like the same with the teachers and things like that. So it's like this continuous outreach that the whole entire team is doing all the time, all year round, and everybody is bought into that diversity is important, and we want to seek out a variety of people and experiences and products and whatever, and styles. So if you're part of a bigger team, it shouldn't just be one person who's like doing the diversity work. Like, oh, it's on you to make our conference diverse. Good luck with that. Like, it's not. It's like
also tokenizing.
Yeah,
it's just such the wrong experience. It's just the wrong approach. And I typically says they don't notice the feedback loop they're in. But which is true. But also what Carrie and I are talking about here is there is also a positive feedback loop that can happen. Like. There is like there are so there's with careful curation of your community, but it's not zero effort. I mean, I've had this conversation with Alicia as well, Alicia White here. But by the way, actually there was a question from Alicia that I didn't ask. Carrie, she says, which dorm?
Social chair. So when I was the social rep, it was for Lind my sophomore year, which was like the 3rd year that dorm was in existence. So I think that was like in 1997-ish, 96. No, 94 through 98. So it was like 96-ish.
Yeah. Oh, I answered that. But so I've had this conversation with Alicia before. Just it does take, especially to start off with, it takes a lot more effort. You have to specifically invite people and be prepared to be knocked back as well. Not everybody's going to say yes. People have got their own lives, and some people don't find conferences super fun, which is totally understandable. So what else did I want to say? Oh yes, so I did want to say on the subject of Teardown, we've got nothing to announce yet. Well, no dates to announce yet, but I would like to say that I have found out that the mall will not be demolished before summer 2025. So we are currently in the process of getting a contract together to secure that booking. So Teardown mall adventures will continue next year, and we're actually going to be expanding next year as well. We're going to have an extra room just for the workshops. Possibly an ex-Victoria's Secret, but we'll see. So the main space is an ex-Gap.
If there's a Victoria's Secret location, I am calling on Deborah to make sparkly bras.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. Well, we'll see. We haven't decided on the second location. The Gap is back, but we haven't decided. So we'll have an announcement about that coming out very soon, probably at the end of this month, in time for me to go to LA. So well, it is quite improbably. It's gone past 1 o'clock.
I can talk all day
around 2.
Everything.
Me too. Are there any burning questions we have in the chat around events that you can add them in? I know there's a slight delay here, so it'll be a minute. We'll start talking, but we'll wrap up at some point relatively soon. So if you've got any questions to ask either me or Carrie on the subject of events, please put them in the chat now, and we will get to it. I would like to put a pin in this conversation for right now and bring in Carrie's workbench, which has been tantalizing in my display here. You can see just me and Carrie, but I can see all the different screens that I can bring in. And one of the screens that I can bring in has been a down cam on Carrie's workbench, which has been glistening at me for the whole hour, tempting me to put it in. And I feel like it's time to show off the sparklies.
Yes.
Here we are. Wait, hang on. Let's solo lay out these workbenches.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah,
I love it. Talk me through what we're looking at here.
Oh my gosh. So we're looking at a bunch of my different soldering kits, as well as circuit board rulers, and including a new circuit board ruler. And this one is the little circuit board that is all wrapping wires on the back of it that I made for the basic electronics workshop that I taught. So it's like super, super simple. It is just an LED with a bunch of different switches, some test points so that you can actually hook up a multimeter and measure current. Nice. So it's really great for teaching people how to use multimeters. And, you have these points that you can measure voltage at too. We have just like a little PTC fuse on here just in case somebody does something terrible, because we're just powering it with USB. So, you can get a lot of current through there if you need to. Mm-hmm. And, this took about an hour for people to put together, maybe a little bit over an hour. And, and then we have, current laws and things like that over there. And it is very helpful. And it was really helpful for people to see the different types of switches too. It was like an interesting thing because they're like, okay, I push this button and the LED goes on. And then wait a minute, when that one's on, it doesn't go off. Why doesn't that happen? And, you get into interesting conversations there that you wouldn't otherwise necessarily get keyed to.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then for our soldering kits, these three are this one too. Here, I'll put this one right there.
What's this one? I've seen this one floating around the internet, but I've not seen it in real life. What is it?
So that is the SMT Garden. It's kind of our learn how to surface mount solder one. It has a ton of practice area on the back. Shout out to Leigh, who did the artwork on the front of it. They did
another open source hero. I didn't shout out the I'll promote the Open Hardware Summit at the end of this. Let me just bring that up.
Yeah.
Carry on. Shout out Leigh. We love you, Leigh.
We do. And so you have like 1206 LEDs and components on this board. You have some 805s on this board, and then you have a whole variety on this board. And they're all 555 timer circuits. All three of those are. So that's also like kind of a little fun thing. There's like, your 555 with the decade counter that cycles through LEDs there. Here you have 555, a bunch of 555 timers just at different blink rates. And then this one is two 555 timers that are working together to like only pass through two blinks. So you get this really great heartbeat effect to the LEDs.
Very cool.
Then we have some of the I voted kits, super topical. Stickers are rad, but soldering kit pins are even better. This one is a fully.
I can't vote, not because I'm a felon, because I'm foreign.
Yeah. So we got those, and then these are some of our through-hole kits on the bottom. It's solder weather series.
I like your soldering weather series. Oh my gosh, there's some great PCB finishes here. Oh, you got the little after dark cloud.
Yeah, so I so cute. I started out with After Dark, and on this one,
no, it's not After Dark.
I switched it to just matte black because
it looks cute.
Yeah, it was expensive to make with the After Dark finish. So, but yeah, and then
very cool
rulers. This one is all sorts of 8-pin 8-pin and a little bit less transistor patterns. So if you're designing a circuit board, if you need to know what the different package sizes are called and which ones might be compatible with each other, this is the ruler for you, because it has all of the alternate packaging names for everything. So it's especially useful if you're trying to replace a part that is, out of stock or no longer made, and you don't want to have to change the PCB. You want to see what else fits in that footprint. And this is the same one for the love of sod. And it's all the 2-pin footprints, and it includes diodes, resistor, capacitor sizes too, 1206, 805, 402, that kind of stuff. Then this one, I'm making a ruler empire, by the way. I just want
I can see that. I'm here for it.
So this one's a knitting ruler, and this is a needle gauge, so you can stick your knitting needles in here and find out what size they are if they're not marked. And on the back, it has a bunch of handy reminders, right? Like a circuit board ruler sometimes has for electronics. This is like the handy reminders for knitting. And
I like it. This is the shit I always forget.
Yep, exactly. So yeah.
Your silk screens often make me laugh, Carrie.
Thank you. I try.
Yeah.
And then
you don't just try, babes. You don't just try.
And then I'm really hoping this one is a prototype. I'm hoping that we will get the final ones in time for Makerfaire. This is the screwler because it's a screw gauge ruler. So it's sort of like along the same lines as the knitting ruler, but this is for screws. And you have imperial on one side, and then you also have your clearance holes, hole sizes written on there, as well as your tap hole sizes. And and then you have your nearest metric sizes. This is the imperial side. So you have your nearest metric sizes in parentheses. And then on the other side, it's sort of the same thing in reverse. You have all the metric sizes and the closest imperial drill bits in parentheses.
I really miss the metric system.
I
really miss the metric system. I got to deal with fractions.
Yeah.
Come on now. Please come on now.
Fraction mils.
The one that makes me laugh is my pet peeve of the imperial measurements is the American wire gauge. Mm-hmm. When I found out what the numbers on the American wire gauge were for, it made me so mad. It's not the size, got nothing to do with this. Normal people will measure the thickness of the wire, right?
Right.
AWG is how many of those wires you can fit through a 1-inch hole.
Yep. Like, who cares? Who cares about how is that?
So how can you measure that in the field? Like it's just like I can't. Oh, it makes me so annoyed. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Just bring out my handy 1-inch hole and try and see how many can fit through it.
It's like the spaghetti test, right? You
fit AWG
the hole in order to measure your size, your serving size.
Oh my God! Sorry for my AWG rant, and thank you for taking me through all your awesome rulers.
No problem.
Carrie out here forging rulers till she forges the one ruler to rule them all. Carrie. Yes, absolutely. One ruler to rule them all. I love it. I love the rulers. They're very cool. Very cool. Now, there's one more thing. I know we've gone way over time, and thank you for sticking with us and keeping us company. But there is one more thing that I wanted to do, which was to big up another awesome event. So yes, we've got SuperCon coming up soon, which some of you will be at. Then I also said that we're definitely doing Teardown again, but I haven't told you what dates yet, but it'll be similar. And then there's this one at the end of May, the Open Hardware Summit. Now that was in Montreal this year and in New York the year before that, and they are jumping over the pond to the UK, which is my home turf, in case you haven't guessed. And they'll be doing a conference up in Edinburgh. So I'm definitely going to go to that. The CFP is open right now, and they are also looking for people to get involved in that. It's a great conference. I've had a great time every time that I've been, and it's a quirky little one as well. So I'll definitely be there. And not only am I going to be there, I'll be in London beforehand. I'm going to do some kind of pre-event in London. I don't know, some hardware happy hour, maybe some small talks. Haven't decided yet. at one of the, it's probably at Hackerspace in London or some, I haven't decided yet. But then we're also going to take the train up from London to Edinburgh as en masse. So I did this for SuperCon a few years back, like, you know, me and a bunch of other people, like we got the train down Amtrak. You know, obviously it's very slow. Like it took a day and a half from Portland to LA, and the London to Edinburgh train is 4 hours, so it's not quite as long. But I will be organising a group trip by train up to the Edinburgh conference as well. So if any of you are thinking about coming to that, please, and you're coming through London beforehand, or you know you're in the area anyway. Some people do live in London apparently. Please do keep that in mind. It'd be really lovely to see anyone there. So that would be dope. Hooray! I think that's all the events I wanted to guess up for this moment. But if you've been inspired by this chat and you feel like setting up your own event, there is the easiest one to do is a hardware happy hour. You can go along to Discord. There is a hardware happy hour group. You know, lots of people run hardware happy hours in lots of different places. So there's an easy support there. You go along to that Discord, and yeah, hopefully see you at SuperCon, Teardown, or the Open Hardware Summit. Anything else you wanted to add there, Carrie, before we sign off? Really.
If you're in the Bay Area, we'll be at Makerfaire, not this weekend, but following weekend, October 19th.
Yes.
So
yes.
Ooh, little shout out to some friends.
We should shout out Makerfaire as well.
Yeah, shout out to Makerfaire. That's also a fun event, and they have a lot of cool speakers. And they reached out to me to talk. I was like, yes, and then 2 weeks later, I was like, I don't have time. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's a good one. And we're gonna have like a little neighborhood. Like there are 4 of us with booths, and it's gonna be me, and then
Darcy's gonna be there as well.
What's that?
Darcy's gonna be there as well from Crowd Supply. Darcy
cool,
Neal.
Very cool. Nice. Nice.
Who is on yours?
Yeah.
Who's on your little team?
So there's me, and then there's Sander at California Steam. I don't know if you know this stuff.
No,
cool jewelry and all sorts of neat things.
Yeah.
And also Anthony, Sun and Moon Couture. He does really kind of bespoke costumery with LEDs and like crystals and stuff like that.
Nice.
And Ben Henke and Claire Cassidy are going to be
repping. Great! Oh, nice. Ben Henke is a Portland. Well, she lives just across the river in Washington, Vancouver, but he's a local.
Yeah, so their booth should be great. Like all wonderful LED pixel blaze powered stuff. So that
they did a great booth at Teardown this last year as well. Beautiful wall of cool stuff. Yes.
And then Chloe Madison, who is also at Teardown.
Chloe, Chloe is a delight.
She's going to be selling some of her
Power Tool 500. Here we are. Let me just bring that up so we can
off-grid IoT.
Chloe, Chloe is
super cool.
Yeah, super cool. She does a bunch of power stuff for off-grid applications. I think she lives in a van and has
converted
a home assistant. I mean, it's not launched yet. It's in pre-launch, so you can subscribe to updates.
So she's all about like how you can power things off of multiple 12-volt batteries hooked up to each other. So like 12 volts to like maybe 60 volts on a lot of stuff. It's like, it's fantastic. So a lot of power supply stuff, but just things so that you can grab a bunch of car batteries, hook them all together and like hack stuff together and make stuff work off of that.
Yes, very cool. I'm excited for you. It sounds dope. I'm not going to go this year, although I did consider it. I've got too many events. I'm moving house as well. Blah blah blah. It's too much going on this year for me to go to as many events as I wanted to. But all good. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Carrie. If people want,
fun.
If people want to keep up with you and learn more about what you're up to, where can they find you?
Oh yeah, alpenglowindustries.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, and also at Alpenglow at mstdn.social is our Mastodon handle, and Alpenglow Ind on Instagram. those are our three kind of outreachy places. And I've been thinking about starting a Discord for like all of Alpenglow and letting people segment themselves into yarn and electronics or both or whatever. And I might do that sometime in the next few months and see what kind of chaos ensues.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. You've been fantastic at keeping us company, and loads of people that we know have turned up. So it's
thank you all
coming
so much
to support us and having our chats. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with us. Wherever you're listening to us. Huge thank you to our sponsor, Corvo, again. Yay, thank you. And the biggest thanks, of course, goes to Carrie for joining us. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk about your work, but also talk about the way that you approach running workshops.
No problem.
Very interesting.
Anytime.
I hope. Yay. So thank you very much. All right. I will see you next week. What am I doing next week? I've got a stream next week with, I think it's with Andrew Greenberg. Yes, with the Portland space. We've just launched our second satellite into space, Oregon's second satellite, I know. And it's all open source. So we'll be, it's really cool, actually, really cool project. So I'll be talking with Andrew next week. And then the stream I've got booked in after that will be at SuperCon itself. I haven't actually put that up yet. That'll come later. But I will be coming to you live from SuperCon on the Friday of SuperCon. I think it's the 1st of November. So that's what I got coming up. Space next week. SuperCon 2 weeks after that. And then it's Christmas. How did that happen? Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Just going to say hi to say thank you. Jason says, great stream. Thank you. Axwax says, thanks for such a fun and informative talk. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Bob says +1.
Bob.
Nice. Thank you, Bob. And Dave, again, thank you both for the stream. Thank you. It's really nice to see you. Thank you for joining us, Dave. It is always lovely to see your name pop up. Well, with that, I'm going to go and have a day. You go and have a day as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see you all again soon. Okay, bye. Matching t-shirts.